This is the 29th video presentation for the Case Plant course. As you view this video, make notes of important information. Pause, repeat, and resume the video whenever necessary. Pollination and Fertilization, Lesson 7-2, Pollination and Dispersion. You recently completed Lesson 7-1, Plant Genetics. Now that you understand genetics at the cellular level, we will explore how those genes are passed on to offspring. This presentation provides information about pollination and fertilization. The presentation will start with an overview of the broader concepts related to pollination methods and the various agents that facilitate pollination. Steps involved in the fertilization process will follow. Pollination is the first step in producing a seed or fruit. Pollen must be transferred from an anther to the stigma. When pollen is transferred to the stigma of the same flower, self-pollination occurs. Pollen transferred from one flower to the stigma of another flower is cross-pollination. Some plant species have systems to prevent self-pollination. This could include varied time intervals for pollen and stigma to ripen on the same flower, or the reproductive parts are on different parts of the same plant, such as in the case of corn. These are known as monoecious plants. Other plants, known as dioecious plants, have only male or only female flowers located on each plant. Cross-pollination results in more genetic variation among plant offspring. In nature, many mechanisms ensure successful pollination. Vertebrates can feed on flowers or brush up against them when passing by. Pollen is transferred to fur, feathers, lips, or beaks, and then to another flower if the vertebrate comes in contact with it. Insects are the most common way pollen is transferred among flowers. Insects feed on nectar produced by the flower, and when visiting multiple flowers to feed, the insect transfers pollen from their bodies. Water can move pollen from anther to stigma or plant to plant in cases of rain or irrigation. Many plants depend on wind to transfer their pollen, especially if they do not have the mechanisms to attract animals or insects to their flowers. These agents of pollination will be investigated during Activity 7.2.1, An egg is not enough. A flower often employs bright colors, strong scents, and nectar production to attract pollinators. These natural attractants are the same reasons that humans value flowers. The floriculture and nursery industries are built around these values. Following pollination, a pollen grain must travel through the style or pollen tube to the ovary in order to unite with an ovule. This is called fertilization. Fertilization stops at the formation of fruit, which will be discussed in the next lesson. It may be helpful to reference your notes from Lesson 4.5, Flower Power, to review the parts of a flower. The diploid zygote is the result of fertilization, which essentially brings us back to the beginning of the cell development process. As a review, mark or highlight 3 key points in your notes that are important to remember from this presentation. List 2 ideas or concepts that relate to previous knowledge. List any questions you have about this topic. Discuss these questions with your instructor. Keep any notes you have from this presentation organized and available for use throughout the course. Through Activity 7.2.1, An egg is not enough, you will use clues to identify pollination agents in order to understand that flowers often require natural agents to complete the pollination process. Your teacher will assign you and your partner a pollination agent to research and share with the class. You will then read pollination scenario cards to identify which agent was at work in each situation.